you can live a life in flow where your deepest heart's desires become reality. At Set to Love, we offer strategies and ideas on how you can stay out of crazy town. See, your human experience is meant to be lived with meaning, purpose, and creativity. You are here to contribute through your essence. We are best friends, moms, entrepreneurs, and above all, find our flow in assisting you to find yours. We come together weekday mornings to bring you ideas to fall deeper in love with your life and the journey that you are on. Take what works and ditch the rest, and always stay set to love. Thank you for being a part of this community. We're all designed to live in flow. So let's go. Good morning.
Yay!
Welcome back to another episode of Set to Love. I am so excited today. The gang is back.
Yay.
If you did not know, our first 25 episodes of Set to Love included this beautiful woman, Tan Moore,
Aww.
and she's here today and hopefully many more Mondays to bring you mental moments for you, for your wellness, and so you can face life's challenges. So welcome, Tan. It's so good to see you.
Thank you. It just feels like no time has even passed, but it's almost December, which I can't believe.
A lot of time has passed.
A lot of time has passed. It's like living in a time warp. That's what I've been saying lately. So I'm just glad to be back and see you guys' beautiful faces.
I'm thinking as we're all speaking, I'm thinking of Set to Love, Shelly, with our initials. So I'm like, the T is back. We're complete.
Yes. That's how we came up with it. It's Shelly Eva Tan. And
yes. So the T is back.
Yes, and I'm still here in spirit most of the time, but I have just been it's been a busy year, as some would probably presume. It's been a challenging year for a lot of people. And so I've had to kind of make myself available to a lot of work at a lot of different hours. And it's been, I've been looking at it as it's a gift to be available to help people, and so that's what it's all about, right?
Absolutely. Yes. So let's talk about this year and the change and dealing with change. And it's something that you've probably been seeing so many clients talking about change and how to deal with this. What have you found? What have you learned this year? Any new aha moments for you around change?
So many aha moments. Oh my goodness. So I wanted to talk about change up, because I think sometimes change brings us down, right? And I really want to say change up, like we want to change our minds about change. And so the biggest aha moment that I think I've had regarding change in 2020 is it really is, if you resist it, it really is something that can bring you down. If you go with the flow, like Eva's always talking about flow, and Shelly is always talking about flow. If you go with the flow of change, it can literally bring you up mentally, physically, financially, professionally. It can bring you up, because change is not a bad thing. It's a neutral thing. It really is the way you look at it. So if we change the way we see change, then it can change everything. Yeah.
Tan, why do you think it is that people, when you think of change, a lot of people, I can't speak for everyone, but why do you think it is when people think of change, though, sometimes or most of the time, they think it's a negative thing, like, oh, it's a fearful thing. Why do you think that's that way in our brain?
I think that is the question. There's a movie I like, iRobot, and he's like, have you guys seen that? Where it's like he can only ask a certain question, and the little projection is like, now you're asking the right question. The reason people are so fearful of change is because it's the unknown. And a lot of times we are more comfortable with the life that we know, even if it's not a good situation. So sometimes you'll see people staying in the wrong job for a really long time, or you'll see people stay in a wrong relationship for a really long time, or, whatever, like bad eating habits. Like they'll do that because it's easier to just go and buy the cheeseburger than it is to go to Whole Foods or Sprouts or anywhere and buy something that is something you have to prepare, because you're like, what is that going to taste like? I don't know. So I think we're fearful because it's just a big question mark. And for the most part, we don't like not knowing what's next, but there is a freedom in that, because it's like, if you don't know, then you're not going to really mess it up. You're just going to learn.
Mm-hmm. So how do you move gracefully through change, knowing it's coming? It's a constant thing in life. There's no getting around it. I mean, changes are happening every day, some really big, some small, but how do you prepare mentally? How do you get in that mindset? Or what are some things that you would recommend to like your clients or you do for yourself? So that way, when those moments happen, you're not stuck and like holding on to something that maybe isn't good for you.
I think first and foremost, my go-to, what I tell clients when they trust me with their lives, is I thank them, because it's a huge step to go and talk to someone, because that really is your first step. Your first step is you want to talk to someone about, I'm feeling a little off. I'm feeling like this isn't making sense. I'm feeling like, I don't know, like I don't know what to do next. So that could be a friend. It could be a relative. It could be a counselor, therapist, life coach, minister. But talking to someone, I would say, really helps you navigate. It opens the door to navigating change more gracefully, because you're naming it. You're not hiding from it. A lot of us hide from change initially. So it's like, oh, I'm just going to talk about it. I'm going to pretend like I don't see it. You know how little kids close their eyes, like, and they think because they can't see you, you can't see them. It's like, no, baby, I see you, And so change is kind of like that. We like close our eyes, and it's like if we hide, it doesn't see me. But it's like just say it out loud, name it, discuss it. There's really a freedom in that. So that would be the first step. Talk about it, communicate about it. The second step, I would say, is decide what you want. What do you want? It's okay to ask questions of yourself when things are shifting. It's like, let's say, for instance, your job is downsizing and you feel that this is kind of coming your way. You're like, I could get the pink slip next, right? Mm-hmm. So instead of just, shutting your eyes and shutting down to what could happen, talk to someone about it, maybe someone in HR or, a friend or whatever. But then the next step is to say, what I'd really like to see happen is, I'd like to start my culinary career, and then you empower yourself to go look into that, or you say, I really want to stay in this field. So let me start submitting my resume to other companies who do what I do here. So unless you ask those questions, right, then you can't start the action plan and you can't start the change up.
Wow. Yeah, I think it's really challenging. Like, it's one thing when you're looking for change, like, okay, I'm ready to start exercising, or I'm ready to start looking for that new thing that I want to do. But sometimes change just comes in, like Corona, COVID, whatever, this whole thing. Or sometimes change just comes and hits us, and it wasn't anything we were expecting, anything that we were thinking was like we were even prepared for. Is there a way to like prepare yourself for those big things? Like, is it beneficial to start forecasting some big thing's going to happen and I better be ready for it? I mean, I feel like that might be just adding unnecessary worry to your plate, but how do you prep yourself for the things that are out of your control? How do you change up when it is out of your control versus something that like you can kind of see coming and you can get ready for it and gear up and prepare yourself?
Yeah, I think, well, for me, the way that I would respond to that question, Eva, is to say that there's a theory in therapy that that talks about conflict resolution. And there are couples who, let's say, they go to their in-laws' house, and every time they leave the in-laws' home, they argue. And so the theory says, if you know you're going to argue, then plan for it, schedule it. So you know what? When we leave your mom's house, we always argue. So let's just schedule the argument for 3:30 on the way home. Let's just schedule the argument for 3:30 on the way home. That way, by the time we get home, we got it out of our systems and enjoy the rest of our week, right? So what I would say is, I don't want people to clench their teeth and stress and forecast that there's going to be some huge thing happening. But I think you need to create a file in your brain, a space in your brain, a space in your life, because change is coming, whether you want it to or not. It is going to come. So just plan for it, right? Don't brace yourself. Don't be afraid, but just say, you know what? Things are going to change. If you look out of your window right now, I know there are beautiful trees, where we live, and the trees are releasing the leaves. And I'm sure that the tree, we think of a tree as just a tree, right? But who knows what that feels like for the tree? Maybe it's a really painful or emotional process for the tree. I don't know. But every year that tree lets go of those leaves. And before the leaves go, the leaves change color, right? So it's like the change is going to come. So you might as well just say, you know what? Something's coming. And I know that when I get to that point, I'll cross the bridge when I need to.
Well, I have a good one for you.
Okay.
What happens when you make some changes and they're all really positive and you keep going and it's going, and then like a life event happens and it kind of throws you off of your positive flow of, let's just say it's regaining your health.
Yeah.
And then you get sidetracked or whatever, and then a few months go by and then you're like regressing. How do you help those people that then feel like, why is it that I was doing something positive? I was making all these great changes. What is it in us that allows it to derail and not continue forward? And then when you want to continue forward, the guilt or where I would have been or how this could have been, what would you say to that person today that's listening to you, that really wants to get back on track and enjoys that change, but now is stuck because they're now living in this place of, wow, I just don't know how to get out of my own way. I was doing it, but now I'm back to square one.
Yeah. Great question. Recently, I was listening to a lot of motivational, inspirational YouTube videos. And one of the things that the speaker said is the joy is not in the creation, it's in the creating, right? So we're so focused on the creation, the thing, the outcome, right? That we're missing the journey. We're missing the process. And the lessons happen in the process. The joy happens in the process. So I think what happens with that scenario that you just talked about, Shelly, is we're going along, we're in the process. Maybe we're building the house brick by brick, and it's going well. The bricks are lining up, everything happens. And then boom, you run out of bricks. And now you're depressed, and now you're devastated, and now you're sad, and now you're like, I'm such a horrible person. Why didn't I buy enough bricks? But the opportunity there is for you to now take a drive to the brick company and take a break. You can take a break, maybe have something to eat on the way to the brick company and roll the windows down and let the wind blow in your face and take a minute from bricklaying to come up and look at the world around you. So the process, the creating, right, is as important, if not more important, than the creation. But I think we often get down and disappointed. And like you said, we regress because we are stuck on that creation, right? And so the changes that are happening, this is the thing that's hard sometimes to see when you're in the middle of change, but the changes that are happening are leading you to something. they're getting you to somewhere. When the leaves fall off, it's saying, guess what? Spring's around the corner, right? It's not saying, oh God, it's winter. It's saying spring's around the corner. And guess what? I'm preparing for the newness of spring. And I have to let this old go. So that's how I would respond to that. Does that help?
Oh, Tan.
I think that's going to help a lot of people. I guess that's just it. That was amazing. Perfect.
That was perfect. That was perfect.
Okay.
I love it. The creating, isn't it? And that's like the change happens in the creating. Life happens in the creating. It's like we always have this end goal, and we think when we hit that end goal, we produce that thing, we leave that mark, we do that thing, that we're going to just be like, okay, that was great. But it's constant. Life is a constant creation.
Yes.
Creating, it's an every day. So.
It's constant. And it's like, if you get tied to, like, let's say that the three of us, right? The three Set to Love team. Let's say that when I came to you too, and I said, work is really wild right now, that we closed the door and we said, oh, well, so much for that. Boom. Because we're tied to the outcome. Well, if you can't do it every time, then we're not going to ever. If we shut the door, then we would never be open to the possibilities. And when we get tied to a specific outcome, that's what we do. We shut down every possibility. When we're afraid of change, you're shutting down every possibility. What if you ran out of the bricks and had to leave, and now you're available for some other thing that you wouldn't have been available for? You wouldn't have even heard your phone ring for, because you were laying the bricks. What if the change is going to create some other amazing thing? But if you're tied to the creation, then you miss that. You miss the opportunities, right?
Great example.
And that is
so great to be with you today.
I'm
impressed to be together again.
I know. I love it.
So amazing.
I hope
like home.
Consider coming back. Mondays are your time slot. Any Monday you want to come on and share some wisdom, some mental health wisdom with us all here at Set to Love. You are always welcome.
Would love it. Love it, love it, love it. Love you guys. It's been great.
Thanks, Tan.
Thank you, Tan, so much. Thanks, everyone, so much for being on Set to Love today, and for being a part of our community and having that snuggle time with your kiddo while you listen, or that warm cup of hot chocolate or tea or coffee or whatever you're drinking while you're listening to us in the mornings. We appreciate you. If you have any questions, if you have a question for Tan, a mental health question, you can send it to us at settolovepodcast@gmail.com, and I'll make sure she gets it. Maybe we'll talk about it on a Monday show. Thanks, everyone, for being here, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.